It's finally happened. In preparation for 4th edition of Age of Sigmar, Games Workshop have revealed the Stormcast Eternals. In this video, I'm going to go over the Stormcast that have just been shown off by Games Workshop. I'll post a separate video for the Skaven and then another video for the box set itself. To begin with, we have the Lord Valiant on a Gryffstalker. Like all the members of the Reclusiarch chamber, this one has more grandiose armour, big cloaks and a more imposing look. I'm glad to see that Games Workshop is still keeping the Gryffstalkers as part of the Stormcast hosts, and to see a mounted character isn't that surprising the way that Games Workshop's been going lately. All of their main factions now seem to have a mounted leader to lead them into battle. He should be good fun to paint up. Games Workshop have done like they've done with the other Reclusiarch characters and units, which is using metal and chainmail to give different textures across the armour. Although it looks striking, I'm not sure about that kind of massive collar that covers the rear of his vision and probably his peripheral vision as well. It's going to make it quite hard in battle for him to look around and see what's going on. It looks kind of imposing on the model, but it's not very practical. Not that we need practicality within our units, but I do like it. But I also think, is it a little bit too much? But then this is a leader, so it should stand out, and this definitely helps him stand out. The Gryffstalker itself looks like a great little model. It's got fur and areas of flesh as well to give you different textures, and armor plating as well on the front chest. The only problem I can see is it's standing on one of these tactical rocks again, which although it looks imposing, I feel like if you lined up all of Games Workshop's new mounted leader characters, they would all look similar in their silhouette, because they're all standing with the mount with its back feet on the ground and its front feet raised up on something tactical. It does give it more of an imposing presence, but I feel that across battles, especially if you're playing against lots of different friends where you've got them or you own several of them, they are not going to look too different to each other across the whole range. We can also see he's wielding a big mighty axe. I'm sure that if you buy the model on release when it comes out on its own, you might get the option for a big hammer. I'm not quite sure, but this one's got a big blade. And I really like that. We can see it in some other models as well that are coming up. But I think it's really cool that it's got this big wielding axe. He's certainly going to be slicing some Skaven heads off, that's for certain. Overall, an imposing model. You can't go wrong with it. It looks good. He's definitely going to stand out as the leader of your Stormcast host. And I think Games Workshop have done a fairly good job with him. It's just that the pose is a little bit too similar to the others. But let's move on to the next reveal. And that is the Lord Veritant. He seems to be a master of the fire. Yes, he has got a flaming sword, very Game of Thrones-esque, and he also has I think they're called a blazier, aren't they? I'm not quite sure, but he's got a lot of fire with him, and he's got a Gryffhound for company. He appears to be blind, or at least has his eyes bandaged up so that he can't see. I assume that his senses must be so attuned to everything else that he doesn't need his eyes to actually see. His armour is very reminiscent of the other HQs, with a mixture of armour plate and chainmail making it up, and the huge cloaks, and he has the huge collar going around the back of his head as well. So he's really just an alternative, in my opinion, to the other character, but on foot. But this brings us on to the next big boy. A lot of characters here for the Stormcast, and this is the Lord Terminus. For me, this is the pinnacle of the 3 HQ units that have been revealed. I really like this model more than any of the others, and I don't know why exactly. He's just more imposing. He's got the same armour where it's plate and chainmail, a big cloak, but I think there's just something about his pose that really makes him stand out, really makes him look intimidating. He also has his memoriam with him, which is the little human that helps remind him of his humanity. And I like this model as well. And they said in the video where they were talking about it that one of the reasons they wanted to include them was they're quite cool in the background, but they usually just exist in the background. So they wanted to bring them into the model range. But it also helps show the scale of a Stormcast Eternal. Much like with Space Marines, when you see all of the Stormcast together, you don't really get a sense that they're much bigger than anything else. They're just big armoured guys, but not truly hulking compared to a human being. By including these human characters with them, it really helps show the scale of what they are. They both have a similar pose. They've both got their arms crossed, with the Stormcast holding a ginormous, and I do mean ginormous, blade. He is definitely an executioner, whilst the Memoriam is holding two little flaming blazes, and this seems to be a theme for them. They've gone a bit more gothic, a bit more grim dark, I suppose, is what they're trying to achieve with the whole of the Age of Sigmar range. And they've done this by including more flames and more gothic looking items going into the models. Big thumbs up from me, favourite model so far. The Night Questor has been refreshed, and I think they've done a good job. They've made him look more like a loner, whereas from what I remember before, he was just a Stormcast that was a single model. There wasn't really a huge amount differentiating him. He looks a bit wilder now. I think this is due to the inclusion of a human head on him that makes him look a bit more like you would picture a ranger or a lone warrior going out. His armour is also closer to the standard warrior class, the Thunderstrike armour, rather than the armour that the Reclusiarch Chamber's using, so there's not really any chainmail on there, it's all metal plate. He does have the big cloak, of course, and once again he is also wielding some fire as well, both to help him see, and I'm guessing these are really modelled to go against the Skaven, so they're expecting that they're going through warrens and waving off the rat folk as they come, and everyone knows rats are scared of fire. If you've watched any fantasy kind of TV show or read a book, they hate fire. This one's also wielding a sword and has his shield strapped to his back. I don't know why they're all doing that. It's as though they don't need their shields. Then move on to the squads, and the first one is the Reclusiarchs themselves, which they look good. They're just slightly toned down versions of the leader. They have their traditional Reclusiarch armour, and I say traditional, this is a new unit, but you can tell this is their kind of scheme, that they have the metal plates, the chainmail, the big cloaks, and their ginormous weapons. And of course they're carrying with them, well, not carrying them, they're being followed by their Memorians, which are family members that help keep their Reclusiarch's minds tied back to the real world, helps remind them who they are. Because we have to remember that the Reclusiarch Chamber is full of Stormcasts that have been rebirthed, reforged so many times that they're losing their memories, their humanity, and just generally who they are. It makes them amazing fighters, but if they lose their humanity, it comes up to that whole thing, doesn't it? Do you need humanity to defend humanity, or do you just become the monster that they fear? But I do think that these Memoriams are fantastic models. I've really liked all of them. They remind me in some ways, they're obviously going to be bigger, but they're a bit like the Watchers in the Dark in terms of the model design. They're just robed humans, whereas the Watchers in the Dark are robed who knows what underneath. But overall, if you like the Reclusiarch Chambers armour style, you're going to like this. They've got the big collars, they've got the big cloaks, they have the chainmail and plate. So overall, fantastic, love it. I think they're going to look great as a force altogether. Next up is the Prosecutors. I've done a video for them individually when they were first revealed. That will be linked up above, and so I won't go into it too much here, All I will say is they're not for me. I don't like the wings, I don't like how they're attached to the rocks. That's a general summary of my dislikes for them. In terms of them being a faithful update to the original ones, I think it's worked. I think that they are a faithful update. I think that they are good for what they are, but for me personally, I don't like the wing. I don't like wings on human-like models, and I don't like the way that they are attached to the base. But other than that, there isn't really anything wrong with them. They've got the Thunderstrike armour, and generally they look good. They look good for what they are. That is everything that was revealed, and is basically what's going to be in the box set for the Stormcast Eternals. It is a meeting of the Reclusiarch's Chamber and the Warrior Chamber to make a force to defeat the Skaven. I've really liked them. I think they're looking really good, and I really love the Reclusiarch armour. But let me know down below what you think, and thank you guys for watching.